Former governor of New Jersey, Christie, seems ready to jump into the 2024 Republican primary race, which is interesting because Christie is another one of these figures that kind of strikes a lot of people as a Republican candidate of the past, someone who would never be successful in a Trumpy party, as the party still is, which I agree with. Christie would have no shot. But I actually love the idea of him getting in the race. And the reason is because while so many of these about to be candidates or candidates in the GOP primary going against Trump are just incapable of criticizing Trump for some reason. They're terrified of him and they're complimenting him all the time. It's weird. Tim Scott, we talked about earlier in today's show. Christie's not like that. He would criticize Trump, and his style is one that I think would effectively get some attention around the critiques and criticisms of Trump, and the platform that he would have would be larger while he's running for president, even if his chances of winning would be almost non-existent. There's a piece from the Washington Post titled "The Revenge of Christie: How He Could Take It to Trump," and we won't actually read much of this, but this is kind of what launched. We won't read any of it, actually, just for the sake of interest. Let me summarize instead of reading verbatim, but it kind of launched this segment for me, where it walks through how, sort of what I just said, not a good shot, but he seems like he definitely wants to run, and he got really well known for, or a moment that got really well known, very iconic, was when he took down Marco Rubio in 2016 during the GOP primary then, and embarrassed Marco Rubio on the debate stage. I'll get to a clip of that in just a second, and how a lot of people are thinking that fighting energy, that combative energy, could do him a lot of good against Trump, and he would be one of the rare people who could actually go toe-to-toe with Trump, not to beat Trump, but to damage Trump. And that's a really interesting idea to me. So first, here is Christie and the iconic moment I referenced from the 2016 primary and a debate that was going on, the GOP primary, calling out the fact that Marco Rubio is just kind of a robotic politician. And this really hurt Marco Rubio's campaign. And then we'll talk about this subject a little more.
The experience is not just what you did, but how it worked out. Under Christie's governorship of New Jersey, they've been downgraded 9 times in their credit rating. This country already has a debt problem. We don't need to add to it by electing someone who has experience at running up and destroying the credit rating of his state. But I would add this: let's dispel with this fiction that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. He is trying to change this country. He wants America to become more like the rest of the world. We don't want to be like the rest of the world. We want to be the United States of America. And when I'm elected president, this will become, once again, the single greatest nation in the history of the world, not the disaster Barack Obama has imposed upon us.
You see, everybody, I want the people at home to think about this. That's what Washington, D.C. does. The drive-by shot at the beginning with incorrect and incomplete information, and then the memorized 25-second speech that is exactly what his advisors gave him. See, Marco, the thing is this. When you're president of the United States, when you're a governor of a state, the memorized 30-second speech where you talk about how great America is at the end of it doesn't solve one problem for one person. They expect you to plow the snow. They expect you to get the schools open. And when the worst natural disaster in your state's history hits you, they expect you to rebuild their state, which is what I've done. None of that stuff happens on the floor of the United States Senate. It's a fine job. I'm glad you ran for it, but it does not prepare you for president of the United States.
Chris, your state got hit by a massive snowstorm 2 weeks ago. You didn't even want to go back. They had to shame you into going back. And then you stayed there for 36 hours, and then he left and came back to campaign. See, those are the facts. Here's the bottom line. This notion that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing is just not true.
There it is.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
The memorized 25-second speech.
Well, that's the reason
everybody.
Why this campaign...
You know what the shame is, Marco? The shame is that you would actually criticize somebody for showing up to work, plowing the street.
And then it continues. But it was funny because... when someone gets called out on the fact that, as so many politicians do, they're just going off of that 25-second script they were prepped with before the debate, you saw how discombobulated Marco Rubio got. But Christie is definitely someone, especially with how he was burned by Trump in the past, who I think would be a rare exception to the rule of Republicans not being able to aggressively go against Trump. And that would provide a few moments, maybe not on a debate stage, because it seems like Trump isn't that interested in debating in the primary, but at least just in the public political arena, the conversation, the political discussion during the primary, get someone in there who's willing to toss some shots. That's not a term, but take shots at Trump and actually criticize him, actually call out the danger that Trump is. And what impact will that have? I don't know, but it would be better than that not being present at all, for sure.